I'm Carla, 28. I was sitting on my balcony, sipping hot chocolate while watching the city lights sparkle in the distance. The night felt calm, and for the first time in a while, I felt truly at peace. But it hadn't always been this way. Just a few weeks earlier, my mom sent me a long, angry message. Carla, you're a terrible daughter. Your sister Nina is heartbroken because of your selfishness. They went on vacation anyway and left their son Leo with us. Now we have to stop the renovation of Nina's house because we're stuck babysitting our grandson. This is all your fault. From now on, don't contact us again. You're no longer part of this family. I actually laughed when I read it. The irony was almost funny after years of guilt and pressure. Their words felt like freedom. I blocked all their numbers without a second thought. It was shockingly easy, like setting down a weight I didn't realize I've been carrying for years. Let me explain how it got to this point. I work as a graphic designer at a small firm. It's not the flashiest job in the world, but it pays my bills and gives me purpose. I live alone in a cozy apartment on the edge of the city, simple but mine, and that makes it special. My family, on the other hand, has always been a mess. I have an older sister, Nina, who's 32, married to Tom, and they have a 6-year-old son, Leo. Nina's always been the golden child. My parents, Henry and Vera, spoiled her endlessly with gifts, praise, and attention. Growing up, she got the biggest room, the newest toys, and all the spotlight. I was left with hand-me-downs and silence. One cold winter day, I decided to treat myself and get my hair done at a city salon. It was nothing major, but walking out, I felt fresh and confident. I was admiring my reflection in the shop windows on the way home, completely lost in my thoughts. When I slipped on the icy sidewalk, one second I was upright, and the next I was on the ground, my right leg screaming in pain. A kind couple, Lisa and Mark, rushed over and helped me up. They drove me to the hospital, where the doctor told me I'd fractured my tibia clean through. I'd need a cast for 6 to 8 weeks. Getting home afterward was a nightmare. I called my boss, Amy, and she was incredibly kind. She told me not to stress about work and just focus on healing. But I dreaded telling my family. I sent them a short message explaining what happened. About 20 minutes later, my mom replied with pure criticism, no sympathy, no concern. She said they were too busy renovating Nina's house to visit me. The next morning, Nina called. She didn't even ask how I was doing. Instead, she said they were dropping Leo off at my place because they needed help during the renovation. I told her I was in a cast and couldn't look after a 6-year-old. She brushed me off, saying, "You don't need two good legs to babysit." When Mom called after that, she yelled at me for being unhelpful and repeated her favorite line, "Family comes first." But all I could think was, if that's true, why did family never come first for me? I hung up and turned off my phone, exhausted. My friends, Lily and Grace, were the complete opposite. They found out about my accident from Amy and showed up that evening with arms full of groceries. They cleaned my place, stocked my fridge, and stayed to keep me company. That night was the first time in ages I felt genuinely cared for. Over the next few weeks, my leg started to heal. But then Nina called again. She sounded cheerful, telling me she and Tom were going to Hawaii for 2 weeks for their 10th anniversary, and, of course, they expected me to babysit Leo the whole time. I told her no, firmly. I was still recovering, and it wasn't possible. She exploded, calling me selfish and lazy. I couldn't believe how easily she dismissed my pain. When Mom called afterward to scold me again, I finally stood up for myself. I told her that if family came first, they would have been there for me when I broke my leg. Then I hung up again. The next Saturday morning, there was a knock at my door. It was Nina, Tom, and Leo. They said they were flying out the next day and needed to drop Leo off before they went shopping. I blocked the doorway and told them no. Nina's face turned red with anger. She said they had no one else to watch him since her parents were busy. When I still refused, she threatened to leave Leo in the hallway. I was furious. I told her that if she did, I'd call the police for child abandonment. Then I slammed the door in her face. My hands were shaking, but for the first time, I felt strong, like I'd finally taken back control. Later that week, my Aunt Rose called. She was horrified by what my mom had been saying about me and promised to set things straight. With the rest of the family, time passed and my leg healed completely. When I returned to work, everyone welcomed me back warmly. Amy even threw a small welcome back party, and standing there with my coworkers, I realized how much I'd missed them. Looking back now, sitting on my balcony, I can see it clearly. Sometimes the worst moments bring the best clarity. Breaking my leg was a wake-up call. It showed me who actually cared and who only cared when it benefited them. I've learned to cherish the people who show up and to let go of those who only take. For the first time in my life, I feel free to live on my own terms.